Chronological Bible in 365 episodes. This is episode 109, continuing with 1 Samuel 30 and also going into 1 Chronicles 9. Now it happened, when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire.
And had taken captive the women and those who were there, from small to great. They did not kill anyone, but carried them away and went their way.
So David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive.
Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep.
And David's two wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal, the Carmelite, had been taken captive.
Now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God.
Then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, "Please bring the ephod here to me." And Abiathar brought the ephod to David.
So David inquired of the Lord, saying, "Shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them?" And he answered him, "Pursue, for you surely will overtake them, and without fail recover all."
So David went, he and the 600 men who were with him, and came to the brook Bezor, where those stayed who were left behind.
But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 stayed behind, who were so weary that they could not cross the brook Bezor.
Then they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and they gave him bread, and he ate, and they let him drink water.
And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. So when he had eaten, his strength had come back to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights.
Then David said to him, "To whom do you belong, and where are you from?" And he said, "I'm a young man from Egypt, servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me behind, because 3 days ago I fell sick.
We made an invasion of the southern area of the Sherethites, in the territory which belongs to Judah, and of the southern area of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire."
And David said to him, "Can you take me down to this troop?" So he said, "Swear to me by God that you will neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will take you down to this troop."
And when he had brought him down where they were, spread out over all the land, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil which he had taken from the land of the Philistines and from the land of Judah.
Then David attacked them from twilight until the evening of the next day. Not a man of them escaped, and except 400 young men who rode on camels and fled.
So David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives.
And nothing of theirs was lacking, either small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything which they had taken from them. David recovered all.
Then David took all the flocks and the herds they had driven before those other livestock, and said, "This is David's spoil."
Now David came to the 200 men who had been so weary that they could not follow David, whom they also had made to stay at the brook Bezor. So they went out to meet David and to meet the people who were with him. And when David came near the people, he greeted them.
Then all the wicked and worthless men of those who went with David answered and said, "Because they did not go with us, we will not give them any of the spoil that we have recovered, except for every man's wife and children, and they may lead them away and depart."
But David said, "My brethren, you shall not do so with what the Lord has given us, who has preserved us and delivered into our hand the troop that came against us.
For who will heed you in this matter? But as his part is he who goes down to battle, so shall his part be he who stays by the supplies. They shall share alike."
So it was, from that day forward, he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel to this day.
Now when David came to Ziklag, he sent some of the spoil to the elders of Judah, to his friends, saying, "Here is a present for you from the spoil of the enemies of the Lord.
To those who were in Bethel, those who were in Ramoth of the south, those who were in Jatir,
those who were in Arior, those who were in Siphmouth, those that were in Eshtemoa,
those who were in Rachel, those who were in the cities of the Jerahmeelites, those who were in the cities of the Kenites,
those who were in Hormah, those who were in Chorashan, those who were in Athach,
those who were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were accustomed to rove.
Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag.
On the third day, behold, it happened that a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. So it was when he came to David that he fell to the ground and prostrated himself.
And David said to him, Where have you come from? And he said to him, I have escaped from the camp of Israel.
Then David said to him, How did the matter go? Please tell me. And he answered, The people have fled from the battle. Many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also.
So David said to the young man who told him, How do you know that Saul and Jonathan his son are dead?
Then the young man who told him said, As I happened by chance to be on Mount Gilboa, there was Saul leaning on his spear, and indeed the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him.
Now when he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me and answered, Here I am.
And he said to me, Who are you? So I answered him, I am an Amalekite.
And he said to me, Please stand over me and kill me, for anguish has come upon me, but my life still remains in me.
So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them here to my lord.
Therefore David took hold of his own clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him.
And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan his son, for the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword.
Then David said to the young man who told him, Where are you from? And he answered, I am the son of an Elam, an Amalekite.
So David said to him, How was it you were not afraid to put forth your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?
Then David called one of the young men and said, Go near and execute him. And he struck him so that he died.
So David said to him, Your blood is on your head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, I have killed the Lord's anointed.
Then David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son.
And he told them to teach the children of Judah the song of the bow. Indeed, it is written in the book of Jasher.
The beauty of Israel is slain on your high places. How the mighty have fallen.
Tell it not in Gath, proclaim it not in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph.
O mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew nor rain upon you, nor fields or offerings from the shield of the mighty is cast away there, the shield of Saul not anointed with oil.
From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan did not turn back, and the sword of Saul did not return empty.
Saul and Jonathan were beloved and pleasant in their lives, and in their deaths they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions.
O daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with luxury, who put ornaments of gold on your apparel.
How the mighty have fallen in the midst of battle. Jonathan was slain in your high places.
I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. You have been very pleasant to me. Your love to me was wonderful, surpassing the love of women.
How the mighty have fallen and the weapons of war perished.
Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son who was lame in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it happened, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. His name was Mephibosheth.
Continuing in 1 Chronicles, the son of Jonathan was Merib-Baal, and Merib-Baal begot Micah.
The sons of Micah were Python, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz.
And Ahaz begot Jarrah, Jarrah begot Elameth, Azmaveth, and Zimri begot Mazah.
Moza begot Benia, Raphael his son, Eliasah his son, and Azel his son.
And Azel had 6 sons, whose names were these: Azrikam, Bacharu, Ishmael, Shiriah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel.
Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa.
Then the Philistines followed hard after Saul and his sons, and the Philistines killed Jonathan, Abinadab, and Mashua, and Saul's sons.
The battle became fierce against Saul. The archers hit him, and he was wounded by the archers.
Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust it through me with it, lest these uncircumcised men come and abuse me." But his armor-bearer would not, for he was greatly afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell on it.
And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his sword and died.
So Saul and his 3 sons died, and all his house died together.
And when all the men of Israel who were in the valley saw that they had fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook their cities and fled. Then the Philistines came and dwelt in them.
So it happened the next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa.
And they stripped him and took his head and his armor and sent word throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news in the temple of their idols and among the people.
Then they put his armor in the temple of their gods, and fastened his head in the temple of Dagon.
And when all Jabesh Gilead heard all that the Philistines had done to Saul,
all the valiant men arose and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons, and they brought them to Jabesh, and buried their bones under the tamarisk tree at Jabesh, and fasted 7 days.
So Saul died for his unfaithfulness, which he had committed against the Lord, because he did not keep the word of the Lord, and also because he consulted a medium for guidance.
But he did not inquire of the Lord, therefore he killed him, and turned the kingdom over to David the son of Jesse.